Once upon a time, in a town not so very different from yours, there lived a bright and energetic little boy named George. George was an extraordinary kid in many ways, but there were two things about him that stood out the most: his love for video games and his peculiar dislike for eating, especially vegetables and fruits. Every day, after school, George would rush home, breeze past his older brother Mike, and dive headfirst into his collection of video games. His favorite was an adventure game with a brave knight, battling dragons, and saving princesses. One day, Mike, who had been observing his little brother's odd habits, had an idea. He knew that George loved playing video games more than anything, and he also knew he had the perfect way to encourage his brother to eat. Mike was very good at coding and decided to design a unique game just for George. He spent countless hours on his project, describing the game to George's friend Emily, who offered many useful ideas. Mike unveiled the game only when it was perfect and ready to blow George's mind. The game was called The Great Food Adventure. In this game, the brave knight had to eat different kinds of food to gain power UPS and enhance his strength, speed, or resilience. The more nutritious the food, the more substantial the power-up was. George was initially skeptical. "Why is my brave knight eating broccoli for strength?" he asked, puzzled. Mike simply smiled and said, "Just try it. You never know how powerful broccoli can make you until you've tried it." So George played. He watched his knight gobble up apples and grow faster, crunch on carrots to see better in the dark, and munch on broccoli to become stronger. The game was fun, challenging, and despite his initial doubt, George was thoroughly hooked. One day, during a particularly tricky level, George had a thought: if these foods can make my knight stronger, faster, and more powerful, I wonder what it could do for me. So, at dinner that night, instead of pushing his food around on the plate, George surprised his family by taking a big bite of broccoli. Day by day, George began to eat more, filling his tummy with the nutritious food he had once avoided. He began to notice changes. He had more energy to play his games. He didn't feel tired as quickly, and he was even performing better in school. George had learned a valuable lesson from Mike's game. The real power-up in life wasn't in a video game, it was on his plate. And from that day forth, he was never averse to trying new foods, searching for his next power-up. And so, through the magic of video games and the wisdom of his big brother Mike, George started a new journey, a great food adventure that lasted a lifetime. And he lived healthily and happily ever after. What a fantastic game, Mike. "Thank you," George said, hugging his brother. And as he saw George's sparkling eyes, Mike knew that he'd succeeded. From then on, George not only played video games, but also loved eating food, especially the nutritious ones. He learned that balance is essential and that taking care of your health can also be fun, even for a video game-loving boy like him.